This tutorial will cover a high-level overview of MDsuite. The File menu provides access to features and functions based on the operator permissions. The Patient menu contains submenus where you can set up new patient demographics, search the database for existing patients, add patient alerts to existing patients, and other options used for scheduling, billing and reporting. The Patient menu will also save a list of the last 10 patient charts that were open. The most recently opened chart will be at the top of the list. Choosing the first sub-menu option, New Patient, will bring up the following screen to input new patient demographics. We'll cover adding a new patient in another tutorial. Next, we'll look at how to look up existing patients. Clicking the second sub-menu item, Demographics, will take us to the search box to look up a patient. How you perform a search will depend on which item on the top bar of the search screen is bolded. On the screen, the name is bolded, so you would search by the patient name. Now the account is bolded, so you would search for existing patients by account number. Click on the patient you want to see and click OK to open the existing patient chart. Next, we'll look at the Clinical menu. Click Clinical. The Clinical menu contains submenus that allow a user to open a patient's chart to see the accumulation of all clinical interactions and documentation for the patient. The Clinical menu is also a place where a provider can start an office visit encounter, as well as start other customized encounters. Like the Patient menu, the Clinical menu also saves the last 10 patient charts that were opened. Let's see what starting a new office visit encounter looks like. Click on Office Visit. This brings up the new encounter screen. Note the encounter type defaults to Office Visit. We'll cover starting an encounter in another tutorial. For now, we are going to click on Close to close this window. Next, let's look at opening up a custom encounter. Click Clinical. Under the Encounter submenu is another menu containing all the customized encounters assigned to this provider in the Clinical library. Clinical libraries, and those functions, are covered in another tutorial. Let's choose a mental health assessment encounter type. Click on Mental Health Assessment. Note that this is the same screen as we saw when we opened up the office visit encounter. We'll cover documenting an encounter in another tutorial. Under the Clinical menu, you can manually document externally ordered lab results as discrete data. Enter the results of a referral made by your practice via an order, or external to your practice, for example a referral for physical therapy. Certain procedures to be designated as generating tasks and having results. When these procedures are specified during the assessment and plan, they appear with fields for the results. You can manually enter those under the Procedure menu here. Next, we'll look at the Scheduling menu. Room view is a visual representation of places in the practice that allows user to view and transition patients from check-in to departure. This is a sample of what the room view looks like. Room view setup is covered in the Scheduling Setup tutorial. The Visitors menu takes the user to the organizer. This is an example of what the visitor screen looks like. Since there were no patients on the schedule for today, we show no visitors in this screen. Next, let's look at the Daily Scheduler view. The scheduling process is the same regardless of which schedule view you are looking at. Use a right-click on your mouse to view the schedule menu for the selected time slot. Filled and empty time slots have different menu options. All that is needed to schedule a recall is the patient's name, the recall reason, and the recall date. The waitlist manager allows you to view, edit and remove waitlist requests. While in a patient's chart on the registration or demographic screen, you can view all recurring appointments for a patient. From this screen, you can also make recurring appointments for patients. While we are in the registration window, let's look at other appointments this patient has had, as well as any appointments the patient may have upcoming. Clicking on the blue hyperlinks under Previous Appointments will take you to the Scheduler view. Clicking on the hyperlink for this patient's appointment for his visit on May 20th takes us to the Scheduler view for his appointment. Next, let's look at the Transaction screen. A transaction is any action related to billing that affects the patient account. The Post Charges screen is where a user would post charges manually, saving each charge to a charge batch. Patient payments may be applied to one or more charges and/or family members. Likewise, the menu option for posting insurance payments are located in the Transaction menu. We'll cover payment posting in another tutorial. For now, this is an example of what the post-patient payment screen looks like. Quick Pay is generally used to post an immediate charge with the related patient payment. For example, you would use this menu to post patient co-payments. This is an example of the Quick Pay window. The Billing menu is where a user would send electronic claims to a clearinghouse, or print insurance forms. This is also where you would create and send statements for patients. This is what the screen looks like to send patient statements out via printing and mailing them. Contact your salesperson to learn more about sending electronic statements through a statement processing service. All reports use a common interface for criteria, selections, and output. Reports that have specific processes or options are described individually under the report topic. The Define menu is used to maintain tables used in the application and preferences specific to providers or roles. We'll cover the Define menu in other tutorials. The Admin menu, or the admin key, can only be accessed if the user is set up as an administrative user. Setting up an admin user, and all other users in the Security Manager, are covered in another tutorial. The Utility menu contains general-purpose tools to perform a variety of useful functions. Due to the general nature of the Utility menu commands, they are available to all operators. Security permissions may not be set for these items. The Documents menu allows a user to import patient records from another system. It also contains menu items for scanning documents. Lastly, the Help menu, where a user can search through online help. Note, wherever a user is at in the program, pressing F1 will open the Help screen and provide help on the topic of the screen you are in. That's it. We've successfully navigated through the top menu items in MDsuite.